All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Virginia is for Realtors. I am fortunate and lucky to be joined by Ben Quann, who is a real estate agent with Century 21 Redwood. Ben, how are you today?
Good, Tanner. Good. I appreciate you having me on the podcast.
Absolutely. Well, you and I have connected. We've been in a coaching class kind of together, the Buffini group. And I really enjoyed getting to talk to you over the years and getting to know you. And I've said it before, and I'll say it to you again. You have one of the smoothest golf swings of anybody around here. It's too bad you don't play more.
You didn't probably expect that at all, did you?
Well, you never know what you're going to get when you're playing golf with somebody for the first time. But when I saw that swing, it was definitely one that I wish I had. So I will go with that.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You bet. All right. So we're going to kick this off. And we're going to tell people about your story about how you got into real estate. And I think yours is a little bit different than kind of the average person that gets into the real estate field. So tell me a little bit about growing up for you and real estate, how you got involved in it.
Yeah, I was very fortunate. I grew up in the real estate business, essentially. My mom opened up a brokerage in the 90s, and she's been licensed since the 80s. And then my dad was in real estate a short period before my parents separated. And he was always in construction, so I got to see that aspect too. And my mom got remarried to a builder. So then, all the summers growing up, I was working on houses. Started with like sweeping floors and stuff like that. But I got to see how a house was built, which I think gives me an upper hand as a real estate agent, just because I know a little bit more of the ins and outs. But as far as real estate, yeah, my mom's always been in real estate. As far as I knew, she always had like multiple phones going when we were going down the road. And so she's just always eat, breathe, sleep real estate. So
it sounds like that hasn't changed too much from a real estate perspective for those that are slinging pretty heavy.
No. So she's all in the management and the goals, and as a brokerage, setting records and getting awards, where I'm more in the field, actually selling houses and stuff like that. So we cross paths almost every day, but we're kind of doing two separate things totally. I had no urge to get into the management side at all. But yeah, just when you think she's starting to slow down, she's picking up a new title, and now is our principal broker for all the Virginia offices. I think it's 8 to 10 offices now. She loves it.
Keeps it rolling. Well, very cool. So, tell me one of the things you remember when you were watching your mom when she first started. Tell me about some of the stories about then.
That I will say that's the one thing I kind of regret growing up already, that I didn't pay attention to it more. I was just busy being a kid. When she moved not that long ago, she found second grade, something like that, a school project. And I said that I wanted to be a realtor on it. But, I had no clue what that meant. In 10th grade, I decided I actually was going to get into real estate and not go to college. But that's the one thing I do regret. I didn't pay attention too much to that aspect. I never really thought maybe I was going to get in real estate growing up. And, everybody thought going to Virginia Tech or anything, but all those didn't really work out. And I did get into real estate. And then I was busy with helping my stepdad or my dad, build houses, do piping, stuff like that. More the construction aspect.
Do you ever drive by some of the houses that you used to work on and think, I remember helping on that one back in the day?
Oh, yeah. In fact, I just sold a house not that long ago that I helped put the septic tank in. So some realtors don't know what the septic, I actually parged the inside of it and everything. It was pretty neat. Yeah, all the time. I sell houses. I drive by, I tell my wife, hey, look, I sold that house 5 years ago. So.
Right. And so you grew up in this area. So what are some of the changes that you've seen personally in your time that growing up?
Yeah. So the area is definitely expanding. A lot of these roads were just 2-lane highways or 2-lane roads, and now are 4 lanes. And South Point, for example, one of my best buddies growing up, right where those townhouses stopped, the last row of townhouses, that was just trees. And now you have the Walmart and the Vacos and CarMax, and none of that stuff was there when I was growing up. I've seen the area grow a lot, and my family's born and raised here. What they've seen is a whole different ballgame compared to what I've just seen in the last 29 years. I'll be 29 in November. So
yeah, absolutely. And imagine if you had a time machine and you went back and told your mom that house you just showed for 100,000 is going to sell for 550 in 25 years or whatever the number is going to be, and just how crazy that would be.
Yeah, I remember my dad, he was licensed in the 90s, and he always brags about a sale. It was on River Road, and he pulled the stats, and it was the top 3 counties around here, and he was I was the highest sell for that month. in like the Tri-County area. It was like 330. 360, something like that. And I'm like, we've sold condos for 1.9 downtown now. So
right.
It's a different ball game.
Oh, for sure. All right. So growing up around here, you kind of got to experience the growth that we've seen in the industry in the area, and then seeing it firsthand from the account of your parents. So tell me about, when did you get your real estate license?
I got licensed in June 2012.
Okay.
So I graduated in 2011. I took a vocational school in high school, got a job as a mechanic at a small independent, and then went to Radley Chevrolet. So I did that like throughout high school, and then the year after graduation, and then was working on my real estate license and got licensed again in 2012.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, that's a good lead up for where we're going to go from here. So when we come back from this break, Ben is going to talk a little bit about his first year in real estate and how that went for him. We'll be right back. All right. We're back with Ben Quann. And Ben, we're going to go ahead and talk about that first year in business. You mentioned you got your real estate license in 2012. How old were you when you got your real estate license?
So I'd have been 19.
19 years old. And now you have to convince the general public to have you either sell their house or help them purchase a house. Tell me about that experience as you got your license.
All right, I'll be honest, I struggled very hard in the beginning. And I didn't struggle from like the public trusting me aspect. It was just like I didn't have the mindset of being a business owner. Half the thing with real estate is, we show houses, we call clients, stuff like that, but you're running a whole business as well. So you have to have the business aspect that, profit, loss, stuff like that, marketing. The first year, I'm not going to lie, I floundered around. And I think we sold 6 houses that first year. And I kind of pulled back a little bit and went to a school for 6 months during that period. And then I got out of school and came right back to real estate. So that would have been my second year in the business. That's when it kind of took off. I got back that September. So it would have been a year and a half after I got licensed. And after that, I sold a house every month from there on out for a while. You always have your ups and downs, even nowadays. But that first year was a little bit, I just wasn't prepared mentally. And it showed my age, is what it did.
Yeah.
It showed my age more than, people not trusting me, because I always felt like I was a pretty good realtor, but it was just like, would I rather go hang out with my buddies or, go into the office and work this job like a real job?
Right. So it's hard to say, hey, this is going to be my career when I'm 19 years old. Then very few people can lay that down and be like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. That's tough to do. And, one of the things you mentioned is the accounting piece and how you have to run it like a business. And during these podcasts, that is what I hear over and over. So if you're a new agent listening to this podcast, you need to have the accounting down right as soon as you walk in the door. So what does that look like for an agent? What does the accounting side look like for a new person who has no idea what I'm talking about?
The budget,
Okay.
You got to figure out what you're going to spend your money on. And it always has to have some sort of rate of return,
okay,
to get the money back out of the money you invested.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess at the end of the day, a lot of people get this commission check and they just assume I just made $8,000, that $8,000 mine. And what I learned pretty quick after I came back in the business, that money needs to be separated pretty quick. A good rule of thumb is a third of it's yours, a third of it's the company and taxes, and a third of it's actually needs to go back into investing in your business. So 33%. And once you get better with your numbers, you can fine tune them down to like, say 20% needs to go to taxes, 30% goes into business. And then you can live off the 50%, invest the 50%, whatever you want. But you just got to realize right away, because you're an independent contractor, that money is not all yours. The government's going to see their share. And then, again, you're running a business. So you have to have marketing and everything else. So you have to have some money in your account to pay for that advertisement and stuff.
That is for sure. And, I'll share a story from when I first opened the business in 2006. So as the owner of Bayfield Home Loans and also the sole employee at that time, when I was dividing up from the account that I was using, all right, how much do I have to pay for taxes? I didn't take into account that I had to ×2 on some of those items because I was the business owner and also the same person. I just thought it's just me, so I just paid this amount. And then I had a rude awakening from the IRS that I owed like $6,000 that I really had to scramble to come up with at
Yeah.
that time. And so that was a hard lesson learned. And for all the real estate agents out there, the sooner you learn that, the less likely you are to have an unfortunate notice from a very large institution that says IRS on it or something like that.
Yeah, for sure. And that's one of those things, it just, as you get better in time, you realize like people come to me because they want to know real estate or whatever. They want to learn real estate. They want to buy a house. They want to sell a house. That's what I do. I don't do loans. You know, I refer my people out to you for loans. I don't do taxes. I have a CPA for that now at this point. I think it's hard in the beginning because you don't have a whole lot of money and you can go 6-7 months without any paycheck.
Right.
And when you get this big check, you're trying to reimburse yourself, everything else. But as soon as you start making some money, you really need to start leaning heavy on other folks for, you know, CPA wise or a bookkeeper at least, and to a lawyer about maybe getting incorporated, everything else. That way there's some tax benefits when you do that. And just like financial planner, you know,
Yep.
you should talk to one of those guys when it comes to financial. Yeah. When you talked about retirement and stuff like that, that's what they do. You know, I have a guy for everything at this point in my career. So it's hard in the beginning, but I highly recommend everybody make that investment.
Definitely. And it makes a big difference. Don't try to save a dollar by not spending on the accountant up front or you know, whatever you need to do, that you shouldn't just try to do it yourself. There's a reason they're there.
Yep.
You know, we've talked about that first year in the business, and tell me about your first sale. What was that like for you?
My first sale was a desk call. So
Okay.
back in the day, I guess still they do it, but I just don't really do it that much. And I don't know if it really works as well as it used to, but there used to be a thing that people would call in the business. Everybody calls cell phones nowadays, but we still have the business number 898-2900. Everybody would call into that and they say, hey, we saw a sign. Not all my signs are personalized to me, but hey, we saw a Century 21 sign. What is up with this house? And then you would either call the agent, but sometimes the agents don't want to do both sides. So then that was your buyer to go show the house. And then so my first deal was a call in, and it was a triple wide.
Oh, wow. Okay.
In Spotsy, way out in Spotsy. And real nice lady. Still have her on Facebook to this day. I probably didn't do a great job of following up with her after the fact, but you learn. But yeah, it was a triple wide. It was a flipper. And I learned right away after that I will never deal with that flipper again, or at least warn my clients about that flipper.
Right.
He doesn't really do much business anymore anyway, but you know, it still went smoothly, and we got the deal done. But I learned out after the fact that some of the issues that flippers get known for sometimes.
For sure.
So,
definitely interesting that you had a triple wide right off the bat. So you didn't start off with a nice, easy single family detached in a neighborhood. It's like, here, right off the bat, you get to learn about manufactured homes and how that works on.
Well, yeah, which is a whole nother ball game.
Yes.
It was like 2,200 square feet. It's bigger
wow.
than the house I have right now. It was a manufactured home, but yeah, I learned about all that stuff, and now we do them, and it's not an issue. I've still never done another triple wide though, but it was a very unique first house to sell.
Absolutely. Well, you know, in your time frame coming in 2012, and I be honest, I'm kind of late to the social scene as far as I didn't use Facebook a lot 3 years ago, 5 years ago, but you growing up more with the internet, because you are about to turn 29. I am 45. Growing up with the internet, tell me about, how did you get started on social when you got into the business? I don't even remember what was around. Was Facebook there yet, or?
Oh yeah.
Go? Okay.
Yeah, Facebook. I guess it would have been MySpace before that, but that was well. When I started getting into high school, like 2008, I guess everybody went more towards Facebook. But yeah, Facebook was pretty much it. And to this day, I use Facebook constantly, but I've gotten away from like the personal postings as much, and I kind of just use it just for more business, and then just checking up with my clients, my friends, my family. But yeah, that's always been a big thing. And then Instagram, I can't tell you what time period that would have been, but Instagram was later, before Facebook bought them. And then pretty much that's the only social media I use. I don't use TikTok or Snapchat or anything crazy like that to this day.
Do you remember when you started using Facebook? Was it basically when you got in the business to start for your business?
Nope. I was more into it for the personal.
Okay.
It went into business more. It's a weird slide. So it started with all personal, and then it went to business. And then right in the middle, I was doing both, posting a lot. Like I look back at my memories, I'm like, I can't believe I posted that all the time. And just, now it's just gone to pretty much business and just like life posting. We're having another baby soon, so we made the announcement on Facebook, stuff like that.
I saw that.
Yeah. We're having our second kid, so still got a couple weeks before we figure out the gender.
Well, very cool. Looking back on your first year in business, what are some of the things that you did in the beginning that you wouldn't do now? What were some of the things you would advise to a new agent? Look, I thought doing this was a good idea, and it turns out not so much.
I've been pretty fortunate to realize right from the beginning that sphere of influence and your past clients mean the world to you at the end.
Right.
So I've been pretty good at always keeping a database and checking that. But that's one thing I want to warn folks. I wouldn't call it mentored, but I was in the office all the time once I got back into real estate, and I kind of went under this one guy's wing that was kind of retiring or getting out of the business. I got like all the crumbs that he didn't want to fool with leads wise. And, one thing I noticed is that the guy made a lot of money back in the heyday and I didn't know any of his clients. So now with the market downturn, he didn't have any clients to market to, anybody to, and trust him, except some random people that'd still call him, but he just wasn't making a whole lot of money. I realized pretty quick that your database and the people the people that know you are the people that you should work with the most.
Right. And would you say in the beginning, you're making a lot of posts to let people know you're a realtor, let people know, hey, I can help you buy and sell a house. And because there's a lot of people that may not have seen that first post. They might not have seen the second post. So you kind of need to bridge that gap between, hey, I'm a realtor, and hey, here's my family.
Yeah, you do. And you got to watch it though, because then people stop paying attention to you if you're all about real estate. It's got to be kind of a happy medium there. But yeah, I mean, even to this day, sometimes family does business and they're like, oh yeah, I bought a house in Northern Virginia. And I'm like, oh, that's cool.
Right,
they just forget, but you can't get them all. So you can't be upset about it either. But no, it's just something that will happen. Don't take that to heart for sure.
I hear you on that. Both you and I have, I'm sure, lots of opportunities that fall in our lap kind of out of nowhere that we're thankful for, but those aren't the ones I remember. The ones that got away are the ones that really stick with me the most, especially myself. If I look back at my database and said, I should have made that phone call, or I should have done X, Y, and Z better. So the takeaway that I have from this is you need to be getting that database humming right away.
Right away.
Yep. So that's a great point. Tell me, did you set goals in your first year, or when did you start becoming a goal setter?
That's something I work on every year.
Mm-hmm.
I try to be better about it. Like right now, right behind my computer is a 1 year, 5 year, and a 10-year goal list.
Nice. Okay.
So it's gotten better over the years. I would like to say that I'm sure I did a goal that first year, but I just, again, didn't have the mindset to even follow through with it. But I can remember I had a Cape Cod printed out, like a Cape Cod house with a wraparound porch. I had that printed out for a long time on my office. I do have one now, so I guess it did come, me and my wife just built one last year. I guess it kind of came true, but I'm much better about numbers and goals these days than I was in 2000. But it's something that needs to be done.
Yep.
It needs to be something, and you have to look at it constantly.
Absolutely. So when we come back, I want to talk about how you made it through that first year, and now you're on to the second year and you're starting to see business pick up. So when we come back, Ben's going to tell us about its second year going to where he's at right now. We're back with Ben. And Ben, let's talk about kind of that second year in the business and then going forward. And since I know a little bit about your background on the coaching side, talk to me a little bit about when you got into coaching, how it's impacted your business.
Yeah, I recommend anybody that's getting into the business, as soon as you start making some money and you want to take it to the next step, spend the extra money, get that investment, invest in yourself, and go ahead and get a coach. And there's a lot of different programs out there. I've used two of them, the Buffini program, Brian Buffini, and then Tom Ferry. There's, again, a lot of different coaches, life coaches, everything else that you can get. But those are the two I have experience with. I've been coached off and on for 6 or 7 years now. And I started with the Buffini system, but it worked well. I'm not going to lie, but I think the biggest thing is you need to find a coach that really works for you. Being like, I needed the accountability to make sure that I actually do those steps to get the business. My first coach was, we'll do it next week. And it would just never get done. Where my new coach is pretty much like, if you're not producing, you're not going to be a part of my team. And that's what I needed. I have a coaching call every week, 4 days a month, and then we have all the tracking and everything else that gets into coaching.
Tell me about, what are you talking about it when you're talking with your coach?
Well, we have numbers we have to hit, essentially. I have to talk to all my clients at some point, and then you have how many sales you need to make a year, and it's just all towards your own goal. If you only want to sell 5 houses a year, that's fine. If you want to sell 500 houses, they'll figure out a way to get you there. If you really want to do that, you'd have no life. Even at 50 houses, you really don't have a whole lot of life. Yeah, so we talk about that, but they're always on the cutting edge too. So they were the first ones that were pushing me to do video. And I've really started into the video, and I started with like my cell phone. It was okay, but I've really started to get into like professional video at this point. We shoot 1 day a month. I would love to do more, but it is expensive. So the cutting edge stuff, if there's a new social platform, like what's the one that everybody talks on? The new big one.
You're talking about Clubhouse? Was that the one that
Clubhouse.
Okay.
So Tom Ferry was like one of the first people to get on Clubhouse or whatever.
Yeah.
So he was pushing all of his clients to get on it. And I'm sure it helped. Just like TikTok. I know agents that do really good with TikTok, but they're always just on the cutting edge. They push us to get outside of our comfort and just help us build the business that we want to build.
Well, that's one of the things in a sales profession, whether it's real estate or being a loan officer, the biggest thing that a coach is going to drive you to do, that I feel, is get you outside your comfort zone. For me, I'm not very comfortable calling past clients just to say hello and check in and see how things are going. But I have found by doing that, when I just call, not as like, hey, I want to do your refi, but just like, hey, Ben, what's going on, man? How's life treating you? And then they'll let them kind of run with the conversation. It's been really helpful. I have picked up business from it, and it sounds like you have as well. So the coach is there to help you do the things that you don't want to do, is the way I look at it.
Yeah.
You mentioned too that you did switch coaches. And what was the reasoning, or what was your thoughts on that?
I just needed a shake up in my life, and I needed that accountability. Buffini only offered 2 times a month. I needed a weekly call. Tom Ferry offered that, but it is expensive, but I needed that weekly accountability. So I actually started with the 2 calls a month, and right away he's like, I want you to do this, this, and this. And my business grew really quick in the first month, which is to be expected. He's just getting me in line. And then after that, I dove fully into it, call a week, everything else.
When I am talking to my coach, that if I didn't perform for the period before the phone call, and I'm writing down like, all right, what did I do in these last, in my case, it's 2 weeks. Have you had one of those experiences when you're like, oh, crap, this doesn't look very good?
All the time, man. All the time. I feel like I'm in the principal's office and they're calling my mom. Like the discipline,
So it says here you threw a rock at a car. Was that a good idea?
Yeah. The coach is like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed in you. And that hurts so much worse.
Right, exactly.
But at the end of the day, it's like, that's your money. That's your business. You can do what you want, but again, my coach he's a hard driver when it comes to that kind of stuff.
You mentioned to me, you've seen tangible proof of result. So talk to me a little bit about that. You started the coaching program, immediate that suddenly you're like, oh, I went to 10 deals like that. Or was it, okay, I got a phone call yesterday that because I did X, and then it just feeds on itself. Tell me about your process.
Yeah, I had a really bad year in real estate. 6 years, maybe. I don't know what it was. I had a little life change that happened. And then the following year, I was trying to get my head right and get back in the business and goal setting and business plan and budget and everything else. And I think that's when I really started to take things serious. And that's when I realized, let's get back into coaching. We started in like September, and then I didn't have a whole lot going on. I was going to have a much better year than the year previous, being that was my worst year ever in real estate. Yeah, we started in September, and by December, I think I was wrong with like 5 or 6 pending going to close that month. And it was going to be one of my biggest months ever. And it was it was directly because he's like, call everybody in your database. I don't care. Call them all. And I don't call for bugging them for business. It's just to kind of remind them that, hey, I'm always for you guys. I'm always here. I'm always a dependable source for you guys. You know, you need a handyman, you need a painter, whatever it is. And then at the end of the day, they might drive down the street. They might be at a party tomorrow, the day after that. And the person next to them says, hey, I'm thinking about selling my house. And they're just automatically going to think, I just got off the phone with Ben yesterday.
Yep.
Here's his number. He's a great realtor. And honestly, I just want to be a dependable source.
On that point, I think real estate agents and loan officers know that I can do purchases and refinances. I know you can do sales and purchases and help somebody on new construction and these other things, but we assume that the client does.
Yeah.
Now, if you help somebody purchase a new home, if you don't tell them, hey, when you go to sell, give me a call because I can help you on the sale, why would they assume that you can help them on that? Just because we think they should? And that happens a lot for me on the mortgage side, where I'll help somebody on the refinance. I lost a couple deals early in the business where I didn't say like, hey, I can help you when you go to purchase a house and refinance. And the same for real estate agents. I think your clients, you know, if you don't tell them I can help you on new construction, they're going to walk into that builder. That builder's going to say, hey, we'll give you $10,000 in a design credit. That they're like, oh, that sounds great. Sign here. And they didn't use you.
Yeah. And I will say, like, I've told many people, like, I'm not going to slow down your transaction. If you're buying a house from a builder and he doesn't want to have you represented, like, that's not in your best interest. Understand that those contracts are geared towards the builder. They're going to use those contracts. But I'm not going to slow you down. Everybody needs a house, man. So go for it. Call me if you have any questions. I'm never going to slow anybody down. But if they've gotten to the point when they're buying a next house or selling the house that you sold them and they haven't heard from you, I mean, you're not doing your job at all.
Out of sight, out of mind.
You know, again, people, I've sold houses to 9 years ago and we talked at least a quarter.
Yeah. Absolutely. One of the things that my coach emphasizes, we make our phone calls on Wednesdays to past clients. So if I start with A and B, and next week it's C and D, and you go on down the line, every quarter you're going to hit your past clients 4 times. Yep. It's not too much and it's not too little. They're going to remember. And of course you're doing the other things too, whether in my case it's HomeBot or it's postcards or newsletters, whatever. That leads me to a good question for you, because, you know, one of the best videos that I have seen on Facebook, and one of the things about both of us having real estate friends, loan officer friends, and appraiser friends, that's most of our people that we're friends with on there, outside of, you know, past clients and stuff. But the best video I saw was yours. Well, let's talk a little bit about how that came to be, why you decided to go that route, all that good stuff.
Man, you talking about like my introduction video?
That's right, where I wanted to get you the coffee mug so you didn't, the Yeti cup, so you didn't spill all over yourself in the beautiful truck you got.
Yeah, we planned a huge client event this year, and we had like all of our past clients out, all of our best referring people. You know, we just wanted to give back to the people that give to us. So we rented out the new Fredericksburg Nationals Stadium. We did food, we did giveaways, and just like have a night at the ball game on us. Nice. And it was expensive, do not get me wrong, but it was just giving back to the people that know, like, and trust us. So, but I wanted to do I just want like a new fresh start. I've been doing videos up to that point, but they're all like cell phone. I tried editing myself. I need to stick to real estate. I did that introduction video just to kind of drop the same day. And then my goal was to do like 1 video to 2 videos a month from there on out. Just something that's always lasting out there. That way, you know, years from now, that video will still be around.
Yes. It'll
still be circulating somewhere. It could be YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you know, Google. There's all sorts of places. That's, you know, just an introduction video. That way, and people can know me. I think looking at me, a lot of people might, you know, kind of country. I don't always dress with a suit. So having the video kind of just shows I know what I'm talking about. I might not be exactly what you're looking for, but I know exactly what I'm talking about. And it's just a way for people to kind of get to know you before they meet you.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
You know, let me ask you this. Hopefully this doesn't turn off too much of our new listeners. What ballpark was that video for you to get done?
That one I actually talked into getting for free.
All right. Well, that price is pretty good.
Yeah, my best video ever. Every videos after that, I spend about $500 a month on videos, but that one was for free because I wanted to see. It was a gentleman, and I can give you the guy's name. He wants to get into real estate, and he does all my listing videos now. He's great.
Nice.
His name's Ben Carter, but he's coming from shooting music videos. He's phenomenal at that too. But we wanted to see if he could get into real estate and kind of. So I had, image or imagination of what I wanted to do for a video, and he came over bright and early one day. We shot it, and it hit exactly what I wanted. So I have to give you that guy's contact information. He's great.
Well, I saw the number of likes and comments and everything that was on there. And I mean, it was a ton of them. I know you had to reply to a lot of people on that said kudos on your video. And I know when I was personally watching that video and knowing you, I just thought, wow, that's really cool that he put himself out here. This is who I am. This is what I do. I love real estate. I'm about real estate. And to me, it was a separator, to be honest, because at the end of the day, we as loan officers, and myself, in my case, and you as a realtor, a lot of times the clients think of us as commodities. Whether you go to Tanner for your loan or you go to Navy Fed, they're all the same. Whether you get it, Ben helps you with the purchase or somebody else, they're all the same. Yeah. And that really separated for me. And like you said, that's going to be around forever. So in 25 years, when your son is looking at that video, and that's what my dad did.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I never thought about it like that. But yeah, they think about us like that until something goes south, of course. And
right.
And then they usually either hate realtors at that point, or they just learn their lesson and realize. And Tom Ferry just came out with an interesting statistic that it was like 63% of all clients will pick an agent that's never sold a house this year.
Oh my gosh.
And there's nothing wrong with that. We all started somewhere.
Right.
But that just goes to show, if you call that guy on Zillow, there's a good chance, man, they don't care about you. You're just a number to them. And I'm trying to stay in this game for another 30 years. I can't have any bad raps around me.
I agree wholeheartedly. Yep, for sure. Let's talk about lead generation. And when we come back, let's go over some of the things that you're using every day to generate leads. And we'll go over that. We'll be right back with Ben. All right, we're back with Ben. And Ben, we're going to go over a little bit how you generate business. Now, you are a producing real estate agent, a top producing real estate agent. So let's talk about a little bit about that. Tell me about something that you use every day that whether you just have access to it, other people can have access to it, et cetera.
Yeah, 95% of all my business is going to be my sphere of influence.
Okay.
And people I know and past clients. That's going to be my biggest driver every year when it comes to lead generation. And I think most realtors, when you've been in the game long enough, they all realize like sphere of influence is where it's at, because the client you've already done business with trust you. But when they hand off that referral, the people that are coming are not cold. They know you. They know someone that's done business with you, and they know that, hey, I looked out for Joe. Ben's going to look out for me, kind of thing. So sphere of influence and database is just always going to be king for me. I do use social media. I use it a little bit differently though, meaning that I never really get a lot of cold leads on social media. I kind of use it as like a geo farm. Essentially, a lot of people that I know of, I would never think would use me as a realtor, probably use me because they see me on Facebook constantly selling houses.
Nice. Okay.
I just kind of use it as another touch throughout the year to always stay in people's minds, whether I went to high school with them or, we ran across each other in the gym, all the different ways you can meet people. I just always stay in front of them with the social media. Besides that, we do open houses. We do that more for the sellers than anything to help them. I do have some agents to help me out with that. But those are really like the video, social media, database are my keys, and the database being number one.
Okay, so let's talk about what program do you use for your database?
So I use KB Core, which is a CRM.
Okay.
The one thing I want to point out right away, like whatever CRM you're actually using is by far king. It does not matter like all the bells and whistles at the CRM. It could be note cards. As long as you're using the CRM, that's what matters. All that being said, I use KB Core. It's a very robust system. Our brokerage offers it for free. You have to check to see what prices are if you're like an individual agent with a different company. But you can do text, email, phone calls, video. Like I linked it with my bomb so I can send out a mass email or mass video. It does lead generation. It'll post on Facebook. It's just more than I can handle. You can even link it. If they come on my website, they get like a mailer somehow, like some stuff that's crazy. Yeah, KV Core is the CRM I use.
It doesn't matter if it was a Rolodex. It just matters if you use it. And I personally find, and obviously we get hit up with a lot of the same bells and whistles that you can do for your past clients, that if you're not going to use it, it doesn't make a difference.
Right. What'd you call that? A Rolodex?
Yeah, a Rolodex.
Is that
back in the day, I got you by some time, and my dad owned a small business growing up, insurance agent, had a giant Rolodex of points of contact, man. They're still out there. So, and I'm sure, I tell you what, there are some agents around here that are still using a Rolodex. I am sure of that.
And I bet they're top producers.
Too, I bet something. So too. That's right. They've been using it. It still works. Let's talk about a little bit, when we say database and we say touch points, whether using KV Core or your Rolodex or whatever, tell me about how do you stay in front of that past client outside of social? Let's take social out of it, because we know you got to be posting on Facebook. You got to be commenting on their photos, things like that. Tell me about your touch points.
Yeah, I run off a 24 to 32 points per year system. And I'm not going to say I'm going to hit every client exactly 32 touches a year, but I'm going to try my best to do it. It's going to break down to a pile of different things. I wish I had a list right in front of me, but we're definitely going to send a birthday card. Okay. Anniversary. If I see something big on Facebook, like a baby coming, they're going to get like a onesie or something. They're going to get something more than just like congratulations on Facebook.
Right.
That means nothing.
Wait a minute. You're telling me that doesn't cut it?
It's like happy birthday, like get out of here. Anyway, it's gonna be touches along those lines, but then also we do a monthly email, we do monthly mailing. Some folks have like a geo farm. Anyway, monthly mailing, monthly email, again, birthday cards.
Do you ever do any drawings for people?
Drawings.
Like past clients, like, hey, if you leave me a review on Google, and I'm gonna enter you in a drawing. Have you tried those before?
Yeah, I've done that for like back when Zillow, before they were our own brokerage. So what I'm going to try to do this year that I'm going to incorporate is a CMA. I think if you had a financial planner and they're not calling you, telling you like what your portfolio is doing, essentially the same thing. We're real estate agents and their biggest asset they'll ever have is their house. You use like HomeBot, right?
Yep. Okay.
So you can use a program. Like the biggest thing I do is at least once a year, if not twice a year, is my events. I think that's been a game changer. I think I've done 4 or 5 events now at this point. At least once a year. And like this year, again, we rented out the baseball stadium, and not the whole stadium, the tiered deck. I think we had 130 clients, something like that.
Okay.
And it was costly. I'm not going to lie. If you're a brand new agent, you do not have to go that big. My first party, in fact, was just everybody coming over to my house. I bought 2 or 3 bushels of crabs. I had my mom cooking hot dogs and hamburgers. And hey, look, we had 66 folks at the house. I'm lucky I have 30 acres, so people can park wherever. But I'll tell you what, I had 4 deals come in the week after.
Wow.
The week after. And I didn't ask people for business. It was just, again, I just want to do good to the people that have helped me get along the way.
Well, let me ask you this. When they would come by, your first party, you probably still remembered them pretty well. Do you remember when you did it? Were you year 3 or 4? Was it 2 years ago? When did you do that first one?
Well, 4 or 5 years ago. So I'm guessing 16. Okay. I'd have been in the business enough to have 60-ish clients.
Right. And then when they came, did you have people that you had to kind of remember, all right, what was their deal? Here's what they look like. Tell me a little bit about that. Because I think a lot of times people, they have trepidation that, oh my gosh, it's not going to work. But when it actually happened, we're like, yeah, it was fine. It was no big thing.
You mean like folks that you don't remember?
Right. You haven't seen them in 3 years, 5 years, whatever.
I'm not that big of a producer not to remember my folks yet.
Gotcha.
So we've done company events and they'll be like, hey, we're here for Michelle. Oh, we're here for, whatever the agent's name was. And they're like, I don't remember that person.
Yeah.
But they've also been in business for 20 years.
Right.
But no, I kind of somewhat remember almost every one of my folks. But yeah, you're there still to provide something nice for the client, and you're not really asking for anything in return. So
Right.
as long as they're out there enjoying it, and then you can follow up with them the week after, and then you can follow up with them every quarter they're on after, and then build that relationship back up.
Yeah, the client appreciation, that is outstanding. You'd mentioned to me before we got back on that, yeah, you did have to spend a good amount of money to do it. And it's not cheap to rent out the tier at the stadium. But how much money did you get based off, you saw almost immediately in referrals?
The stadium probably cost us $6,000. Now I split that with some folks. I had one other agent that helped out. We kind of did it. And then we had some business partners also kick in that we used together. Let's just say $6,000. And I think we had about $22,000 in referrals come in right away.
Nice.
I mean, within days. But since then, I mean, my fourth quarter is looking great just because of that party.
Outstanding. Mm-hmm. That just comes back to database management. And I think a lot of times in the business, we get told, they're like, hey, look at this shiny object over here. But it comes back to the basics. And if you aren't managing your database well, then you're not going to produce as much as you possibly can. And if I can convey anything to a new agent who is listening to this podcast, database management from day one, you have to do it.
There are like true figures around your database. And one of the biggest thing is 10%. Every year, there's a 10% turnover rate. Now, it might be them sending out referrals for their friends or them actually buying another house or upgrading houses, but 10%. So if you have 100 contacts that you stay in contact with, you can guarantee, if you run it correctly, to get 10 deals out of that 100 contacts easily. Now, my number is more like 18% to 20% every year, just because, again, that's my tribe. That's who I want to talk to. If I'm talking to anybody, it's those folks. So it's just a way to build a pillar in there to kind of keep your business repeatable.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ben, I appreciate you taking the time to sit down with me today and kind of some closing thoughts that I have during our conversation. First, getting a coach is a great idea. And when I think about your journey and then my journey too, that I've seen success in getting to coaching, and you shared the growth that you've had in coaching as well. Right off the bat, the agent needs to be starting that database, and then also making sure you have a good accountant, and just some of the ideas that you shared with touching base with your past clients. So give me some closing thoughts before we go.
I think you hit them all, to be honest. That's really what's been my bread and butter. But yeah, I think if you're everybody's going to be a little bit different getting into this business. This could be your retirement job and you just want to do a couple houses to, have some play money or whatever, or this is your career like me. This will be my lifelong career. I'm going to try to grow every year. And as soon as you start making some money, you got to invest money back in yourself.
Perfect.
And you got to watch out burnout, of course. You can't work too hard, but then you start expanding a team. There's a lot of different ways around it. And I promise your coach who's coaching 30 to 50 people will have the answers that will help you grow to the next level.
Outstanding. Well, Ben, thanks so much for taking the time to be on the podcast today. And I can't wait to see your growth going down the road.
Tanner, thank you so much.
You bet, man.
Bye-bye.